learn a chapter called Non-Profit Organization. Talking about this chapter, this is basically those clubs and NGOs who are functioning for the society. Now, when we talk about their accounting, they don't work on profits and loss. So, why do we create accounts? Obviously, to understand what's the income or the cash coming in and how the cash has been spent. So, that is why we create income and expenditure account, which is similar to profit and loss account. Let us look into the PPT slide, which will give you much better idea about the ledgers to be created, balance sheet to be made, and more importantly, what is the source of their income, which we call as subscription.
So this is what your non-profit organization ledgers look like. You will get a question where you will find receipts and payment. You have to analyze, scrutinize it, and based on that, you have to post it in income and expenditure and balance sheet. Last year in sole proprietor, you got a trial balance. This year in non-profit, you will be not given a trial balance but receipts and payment. I can define it in a very simple word. It is nothing but your cash ledger. The debit side is the cash coming in, credit side is the cash going out. And once you analyze this, whatever is pertaining to the income and expenditure should be transferred over there. Now, how do you understand what has to be posted in income and expenditure and what has to be posted in balance sheet? Very simple things. You have to understand what is revenue nature and capital nature. Revenue nature is something which is recurring time and again, like salaries, rent, interest on loan. But capital nature items are something which happens once in a while, once in a blue moon, I can say. For example, purchase of furniture. If you purchase a sofa for your firm, you will not keep on buying it again and again unless selling and buying sofa is your business. All right, same thing, laptop. You're purchasing a laptop for doing the accounts of the business. So that is your fixed asset and it is capital nature. So anything of capital nature should be posted where in the balance sheet. I hope the idea and the concept is clear. Now talking about receipts and payment, I just want to add a few more things. Since it is purely based on cash basis, it disregards the period which for which you have received the cash. So when we talk about cash basis, if I'm getting a cash to pertaining to 2 years before, still I will record it the day I'm getting it. Same thing if I'm getting cash for the next year in advance, again I will be recording it. So irrespective of the period, you will understand that everything will be recorded in cash book, nothing which is accrued. All right, it has got revenue and capital nature. Now if you see, this is how your question would look like. In the question you will find opening balance of the cash, that is the cash available on the very first day of the business. It could be the cash which we carry forward from last year, could be anything. Subscription. Now the term subscription means the members who subscribe. Now in a NGO, in a club, what happens? As a member, you have to pay a small amount, maybe monthly or yearly. Okay. So that is the income of the NGOs and that is called as subscription. It is revenue nature because it keeps on recurring. Life membership is something which a person is paying for his entire life. That means only once. It makes it as a capital nature. So whatever I have written C, you should understand it is capital nature. Next item is legacy. Legacy is something which you inherit from your ancestor. So students usually consider legacy as capital nature with a stating that, sir, we might get the property of our father only once. We will not keep on getting it. The logic is really, it's right that legacy might be something which you don't get every time. But let's imagine the same property your father is not given to you, but The rent from that property you get every month. Does it make it recurring? Yes. So take that example as legacy. All right. But if they say specific legacy, that means specifically you're getting that thing that will happen only once. Then it becomes not revenue nature, but capital nature. Let's look into the other things. Anything specific in this chapter becomes capital nature. That means it is for one particular reason. I'll give an example. Donation received for COVID. Now, because it is donation received for COVID, it became specific. And because it is specific, COVID is not something which will happen every year, isn't it? Or tsunami, or any calamities for that matter. So it becomes capital nature. Any fund, again, you are collecting fund to assist or support the COVID patients. So any fund for that matter, even a general fund, will be considered capital nature. Sale of asset, obviously sale of asset is capital nature. Asset, we are talking about fixed assets. So I hope this part is clear. Talking about the credit side is the payments done. Salaries, honorariums. What are honorariums? Basically, in NGOs, you invite chief guests or secretaries to give speech or to for anything for that matter, and you have to give them some token of appreciation in the form of a flower or maybe a nice lunch or probably cash also. So all those expenses are called as honorariums. Books are capital nature. Again, students get confused why books are capital nature. Now in NGOs and all, when we say books, these are the books to be kept in some library as an entertainment. So if I'm taking a book of, let's say, autobiography of Gandhiji, do you think I'm going to repeat that book again? No, unless it has been torn, unless it has been useless, I will not be buying it again. So the books they are talking about is for your understanding or for your to remember it. Understand it is the books in the library which will not be same book will not be bought again and again. That's why it is capital nature. Sports equipment, of course, equipment is a capital nature item. Postage, you know the letters, the envelopes, and post has to be sent. It happens now and then. Revenue nature, closing balance is your capital nature. So this is what your scrutinization of items are. You should be able to scrutinize properly because once you understand it is capital nature, you will say it's straight away balance sheet. If it is revenue, income and expenditure. So unless we do not understand this revenue and capital nature, we cannot do the sum further. So be very careful in doing it. Every posting will give you 1/4 marks. So from here, where we jump is the income and expenditure. Income and expenditure is a new name for you, but this is something which you did last year. Last year, when we were talking about sole proprietor also, we used this statement, but then we called it profit and loss account. Same rules are applicable. Debit all your expenses, credit all your income. All right. Now going forward, last year, a lot of things we did in PNL account without knowing the logic of it, or probably we just went with it. Adjustment, outstanding salary, immediately we added to the salary. Prepaid expenses, immediately we minus from expenses. But what was the actual reason? Have you ever tried to find out? So let us find out that reason because that is the core reason because of which, okay, we are doing all this kind of things. Now talking about income and expenditure, this account is a nominal account and it pertains to revenue nature item plus the most important thing related to current year expenses you are going to record. All right. Now salary, like last year's example I will give you, salary paid was for 11 months. So what did you do? You added that 1 month outstanding. so that for that 1 year salary has been properly recorded. So 12 months salary is recorded in the debit side. Talking about expense, they mentioned that rent paid is for 14 months. So what did you do? You immediately found out that 2 months addition and you minused it. Again, the reason of minusing is so that you account for 12 months. All right. So this is what the logic was of last year. Same thing we are doing this year as well. Is mentioned in the center. It is like a profit and loss account related to current year and revenue nature. Anything related to previous year or next year, you got to minus. Now, this understanding is very important when you're doing the subscription part, the most confusing part of this chapter. Let me go through with the left side. Salaries outstanding at the end. If there is an outstanding salary at the end, obviously it would be for the current year, and that's so I added it. The OS means outstanding in the end. But talking about OS in the beginning, outstanding in the beginning, what is outstanding in the beginning? Something of previous year. So I simply minus it. So anything of previous year, you got to minus. Anything for the next year, you got to minus. So insurance, if you see, I have minus the prepaid because I have paid for the next year. Then there is loss on sale of fixed asset. We will discuss that part when we are doing a sum. All revenue expenses has to be recorded over here in the debit side. Now let's move to the credit side. Subscription, you have to post it straight away from the receipts over there in the credit side. Then what are the things you add? What are the things you minus? You add the outstanding at the end of the year. At the end of the year, there is outstanding. It means it pertains to the current year. So you added. Then what are the things you're going to add? Advance in the beginning, start of the year. If you're getting advance, that is obviously for that year. Start of the year, let's say 1st of April, somebody is paying you. It is for that year itself. They will not pay for the next to next year. So the start of the year advance has to be added. Outstanding in the end has to be subtracted. Sorry, added. Now talking about subtraction part, outstanding in the beginning, start of the year, something is outstanding. Obviously, it is coming from the previous year, right? So previous year you got to minus. Now look into this one. Advance paid in the end of the year. End of the current year, if you are getting an advance, for which year it would be? Next year. That is why you got to minus it. I hope the subscription part is clear. It's the most important part in this chapter. Okay, not many students understand this. They're trying to by heart this thing as a formula. If you have your concepts clear, you don't have to by heart anything. Sale of newspaper, all receipts and payments. So this is what it is. Talking about opening balance sheet and closing balance sheet. Last year you did only one balance sheet, that is closing balance sheet. With liability and asset, you posted everything. Now this year, because you don't have a trial balance, you don't know what is your opening capital fund of the business. And that is the very reason why you have to create opening balance sheet. We will learn that in detail, but at this point of time, please understand closing balance sheet and opening balance sheet are mirror image. When I say mirror image, what does it mean? In closing balance sheet, you write liability asset. Asset carries which balance? Debit balance. Liability carries which balance? Credit balance. Okay. Now in opening balance sheet, what happens? These balances are reversed. Asset carries a credit balance, liability carries a debit balance. That means any impact you do in opening balance sheet asset side, that is called credit impact. Same thing with liability. If you post anything in the opening balance sheet liability side, that means you gave a debit impact. All right. Now I'm going to tell you some small rules to follow, which will help you to do this sum. This chapter carries 11 marks. So we have to get 11 out of 11, right? So let's look into it. So how do we do? So let's read the blue column. Identify the nature of item, capital of or revenue from receipts and payment. Capital nature, balance sheet; revenue nature, income and expenditure. The most important principle of this chapter. Opening balance sheet is a mirror image. Just now I told you all items in receipts and payment should have one effect. Now this is another rule which will help you never ever go wrong. Now anything in the debit side should always be given a credit effect because you're using receipts and payment. Okay, if it was trial balance, the rules are anything in the debit side should be posted in the debit side. If it was a balance sheet, same rule is applicable. So when we are doing partnership chapter, I always told you anything in the debit side of the balance sheet, that is asset side, should be given a debit effect. Same thing. Okay, don't get confused with that and this. Understand you're doing receipts and payment. Okay, so R for receipts, R for reversal. Reversal means the rule gets reversed. So anything in the debit should be posted where? Credit side. Opening balance sheet. Opening balance sheet pertains to opening balance, it pertains to opening balance sheet. So it is in the debit side. How do you give the credit effect? In the asset side, you give the credit effect. I hope it is clear because many students have this confusion that opening balance sheet and closing balance sheet, how both are posted in the asset side. Both are posted in the asset side, both are asset, but the rules, opening anything in the debit should be posted where? In the credit side. Okay, so I have posted it over here and I gave a credit impact. Moving forward, there is subscription. Revenue nature, in the debit side, I posted where? In the credit side. So this is the rule which I always tell, and nobody can go wrong because you know very well. Anything in the credit, you have to give a debit effect. Let's take books. Books purchased for that year. Books is what? Asset, right? So I posted it in the asset side over here. Okay. Other than opening balance and subscription for previous year, all the items pertain, okay, capital nature pertains to your closing balance sheet. So this is what you have to understand. All the items, this is what we discussed, all adjustments should have two effect. This is a rule of accounts. It's not a rule for one chapter, but for any chapter you do. If there is an adjustment, you have to give debit and credit effect. With regards to the fund based accounting, now you have heard or you come across the word fund here. Ideally they carry a fund based accounting. Now what does fund based accounting means? In a NGO, they are supposed to create funds for certain reasons. Like COVID case, they collected the fund. Now it's a capital nature. So where should you write it? Anything in the debit side should be posted in the credit side, right? So that means the fund would be posted in the liability side. If you see, I have posted in the liability side. Now how do we do this part? It's a very simple thing. Fund is a liability. Why it is a liability? Because you are liable to use that fund for certain reason. Okay, so you have to write it in the liability side. Any income you draw from that fund or any donations you get, you have to add it. That's what I have added, income. And if there is any expenses, you got to minus it. I hope it is clear. So fund based accounting is as simple as that. Now how does it gets complicated is for example, let's say that you have a fund of 10,000. You got another, let's put the numbers so that it is more clear to you guys. I'll just post it. Okay. I have made a COVID fund wherein there is 10,000 rupees. I got donation of 5,000 and I spent, that is minus expense, 4,000. So can I say the money left with me is 11,000? Now what happens if you have spent by mistake 20,000? You have fund of only 15 and you made a expense of 20. That means it's a negative 5,000. Ideally this negative 5,000 means loss. And where do you record the loss? The 5,000 you will record in your income and expenditure. So you will write all these things, but this 5,000 you will not write in the balance sheet. Okay. So you just write it this much, leave this in the internal column. All right. And 5,000 you can just write it in the balance, in the income and expenditure as the loss. Funds can be general and specific. Both the funds will fall under the liability. Only difference is, now when we talk about fund, let's say that we got a fund of 10 lakh rupees. Now when we get 10 lakh rupees, we don't put that 10 lakhs in our pocket. Rather, we like to keep it in some place from where we can get interest. So the NGO has kept the money, they have invested that in the bank, and the banker is giving 10,000 interest. So when the fund is specific, that 10,000 interest what you earned, you have to add it over here because that income is pertaining or related to that specific fund. So you will add it over here. Same time, the fund, if it is general fund means in general they have created the fund. They have not having any specific reason. Being fund, you will write it in the balance sheet. But the income which you generate from that general fund, you will write it in the income and expenditure credit side. This is very important because students have the same logic of fund, but there is a difference between fund that is general and specific. I hope the fund accounting is clear. It's very simple. Whatever fund is there, you add the donations or the income accrued and minus the expenses. Income, whether it is accrued or received, both has to be added. Very important point, because many students have done a mistake of only writing the income which they received as interest, but what happens to the interest which is accrued? Even that has to be added. So this completes our understanding of this chapter, the receipts and payment, income and expenditure, opening and closing balance sheet. We will move on to the next slide, which will be even more detailed with regards to your subscription. Talking about subscription, subscriptions are usually given in the sum in the receipt side in two different ways. One way is called lump sum amount. They will straight away tell you that subscription received is 21 lakhs, or in a segregated way, that means separate for year after year. So for 18, 19, 20, 20, they have given 3 different years. They have given this is the amount they have collected. So whenever there is a lump sum method, a lump sum amount given, you should use the formula of adding and subtracting all the outstanding opening advance subscriptions. All right. So now let's look into this sum. 21 lakhs is what you received. So you wrote by subscription 21 lakhs. This subscription includes 30,000 for the year ended 31st March 18. You're doing it for 19. So anything pertaining to last year 30, you got to minus. So I have minus here. 40,000 for the next year. For next year also I got to minus. Outstanding for the current year is 50,000. Now if my sum gets over till this part, till 50,000, I would have written 50,000 here. But now what has happened is they have given us a very crucial information. That information is about this corresponding amount on 1st April 18 was 60,000. What does this mean? When last year start, the outstanding subscription was 60,000. Okay. If you notice, what is the income you received of last year? 30,000. Okay. Now this is a very interesting part, also something which most students get confused. So let me put it up as a numbers. Outstanding of last year was 60,000. Now the sum states that outstanding of last year received is what? 30,000. It means what is still outstanding? What is still outstanding? 418. That is 30,000. Okay, this is very important to understand. Now, they have given us one information that outstanding for 2019 is 50,000. Does that 50,000 pertain to 2019? That is a big question. No, it doesn't, because it includes 30K of 2018. So ideally, the outstanding amount of 2019 is only 20,000, and that is the amount you have to add it over here. This is very important point. If this line was not there, corresponding amount on April 18 was 60,000, we would have straight away written and 50,000 outstanding. But because of this additional information, what has happened now is that we could understand in this 50,000, 30 belongs to 2018. That is why the outstanding for current year is only and only 20,000. I hope this part is clear. Now let's move into the segregated way. For the year ended 31st March 19, subscription received were, they have given for 18, 19 and 2020. Now what are we supposed to do? In income and expenditure, we are only concerned with the current year, that is 19. So we will take this figure 2 lakh, we'll take the figure 2,11,000, no? That I have written it over here. Now after that, we have to understand the next lines. There were 450 subscriber paying annual amount of 500. If there is 450 subscriber and they are supposed to pay us 500, do you know what is the amount we should get every year? The amount is 2,25,000. But did we get 2,25,000? No, we only got 2,11,000. It only states that 14,000 is still outstanding, which we have to add. And this 14,000 will be shown in the closing balance sheet. So what happens to this 4 and 8? 4 belongs to previous year. So I will write it in the opening balance sheet of previous year. No, okay, there is something else mentioned. 4,000 were in arrears for March 18. Okay, so these are your adjustment. We will discuss the adjustment in detail. At this point, just to understand, this is pertaining to next year. So this 8,000 becomes your liability. Look, these are your debit side of receipt. So anything in the debit, you have to post it where? In the credit side. So 211 I posted in the income and expenditure. 8,000 I posted in the liability side. This 4,000 should be given a credit effect. We will understand that in the next slide how to give all this effect. I hope this slide is clear. These are the only two different ways of subscription. One is the lump sum way. In lump sum way, you have to use your formula. In the other way, that is the segregated way, you don't have to use the formula. You just have to find what is the total subscription for that year and you have to post it. Just look into each and every step which has been written in the extreme right. I'm sure you will get this one. So let's move on to the next slide. The next slide is about the cost of goods consumed. That is something which has to be written in the income and expenditure debit side. Now, what are the formulas? If you remember your trading account of last year, you see opening stock purchase in the debit side, closing stock in the credit side, right? So if I add the opening and purchase minus closing stock, I ideally understand what is the cost of goods consumed. And if there is a sale, that also I have to minus, but in the book value. Remember this part. This had come in the board exam. Many students wrote the sale value and went all wrong. This sum usually comes for 4 mark. So if you remember the trading account, you don't have to by heart the formula. It is opening stock plus purchase. Again, the purchase we are talking about credit and cash purchase. Even that was one of the small mistake which one of my student did by considering only the credit purchase. I don't know why, but yes, sometimes we do this kind of mistakes. We think too many things and do some kind of small mistakes and lose the entire 4 marks. So be very sure opening stock plus purchase minus closing stock minus sale of stock which is of book value. Now to find the credit purchase, let's say in the sum they have not given you the credit purchase but they have given you some hint or some information. Now what is credit purchase? From where do you arrive the credit purchase? It's basically when you purchase from a person on credit. That person is called your creditor. So they have given you the creditor's detail. Opening and closing they have given and they have written that amount paid for stationery is 8,000. So to whom do you pay this money? You obviously pay to the creditor because this is what we assume that the creditor is the person to whom we are supposed to make the payments. So we wrote the opening in the credit side, closing in the debit side. Bank 8,000, that is the payment made. Creditors to bank 8K. When you close it, you get creditor, which the credit purchase, that is 6,000. Apply that in the formula, you will get your answer. In school, usually they don't teach this method. They ask everyone to do second method because 99% of your sums can be done by method number 2. Though it looks lengthy, it is a very easy method and it is derived from the first method itself. In the first method, you started with opening stock, you added. If you see over here also it's the same thing. Opening stock is added, closing stock is minused. Now the instead of making the ledger, what they have done is they have added the closing, they have minus the opening creditor. So what you do with the stock, exactly opposite you do with the creditors. Also understand the advance paid. If your advance is paid start of the year, pertains to current year, so you have to add it minus advance paid in the current end of the year, that is for the next year you got to minus. And one more item which is this is the payment made for stationery. One thing I would like to tell you, purchase and payment made for stationery are two different things. Just because they start with P, students feel both are same. Purchase means you're purchasing on cash or credit basis. All right. Payment is literally making the payment to a person. Okay. So the term, from the word itself, you can make out there is a difference. But yes, purchase and payment made sounds a little similar in accounts. Okay, so don't do that mistake. Let's look into these examples, case 1 and case 2. In case 1, they have given us this detail. The receipts and payment shows sale of sports material 130, book value is 1 lakh. Creditors have been paid, cash purchase has been done. Additional information is about the stock and creditors. Now, how do you do this sum? We can use both the methods if you want, but let's use the first method. Let's learn both the methods, in fact, so that whichever you are comfortable, you can use it. So in method 1, first thing is you create a ledger called creditors. So I wrote the opening and closing. Creditors have been paid. I wrote it in the debit side. I got the credit purchase. Then opening stock plus purchases. Purchase is what? This credit purchase plus there is a 50,000 here. Don't forget that. Okay, be very attentive and very careful when you're doing this sum. 4-mark sum doesn't take more than 2 minutes, but you should be attentive to get the 4 out of 4 by using all the figures. So if you write it over here, then you have to just simply minus and you get the answer. Let's look into case number 2. Stock of medicines is given, creditor is given, advance is given, amount paid is given. So in this method, you start with amount paid. So if you start with amount paid, 1,08,000, add the opening stock minus closing. If you do it, you get your answer 1,15,000. This is a very important 2 examples which you have. If you check last year's board exam, they had these examples. This example had come for the exam, and most of the students missed out small aspect, like the cash purchase was missed out, the sale part which is should be taken as book value missed out. All right, so all these things are written in the brackets. It's been written over here also, so that you don't do that mistake. I hope this part is clear. Now let's move on to the next slide. The next slide is all about the adjustment. The every item which is written there could be your adjustment of the sum. Let's say the adjustment states books, building or furniture value 10,000. What are the two effects? Both are capital nature. You have to give a debit and credit effect, right? So you will post it in the asset side of the opening balance sheet as well as closing balance sheet. So when you post something in the asset side of opening balance sheet, you gave a close credit effect. And if you post it in the closing balance sheet asset side, you gave a debit effect. I hope this part is clear. Subscription in arrears is given subscription of previous year in the adjustment, and it's a lump sum method. So in lump sum, you know you have to use the formula. So what you do with something which is of previous year, you got to minus it. So when you minus it in the income and expenditure credit side, what effect are you giving? You're giving a debit effect. Understand, the word minus changes the impact. So in the income and expenditure, when you write minus previous year subscription, you gave a credit effect. So now you're left to give a debit effect. So where do you post the debit effect? Now please understand, this is your previous year. So it would be always in the opening balance sheet. So in the opening balance sheet, if you write in the asset side, you gave a credit effect to this. Subscription in arrears for current year, add it to the income and expenditure closing balance sheet. Depreciation, exactly like what we did last year. Outstanding salary, just like last year, add it to the outstanding salary income and expenditure, show it in the liability. Outstanding salary for previous year, what you do, anything of previous year, you got to minus it from income and expenditure, because it is previous year, you have to post it in the balance sheet. 10% investment, 1 lakh. Investment, if it is there, opening and closing balance sheet, no doubt about it. But over here, we are not discussing that. We are discussing about the hidden entry. The hidden entry is that 10 percentage. So let's imagine that the investment was done in start of the year. So you will get interest for 10 percentage. Always they give certain dates investment made in the receipt column, and they mention 1st of October or 1st of Jan. You should be very careful to understand that date and accordingly charge the interest. If it is 1st of Jan, how many months interest are you going to charge? For the month of Jan, Feb and March, 3 months you're going to charge. Okay, so 1 lakh into 10 percentage into 3 by 12, something which you should not miss out. And then that has to be posted in two places. You did an investment, the interest is accrued interest is your asset. So closing balance sheet, you will write in the asset side, first effect, and second effect is it's an income, right? So income and expenditure, credit side. The next one is another thing which students usually go wrong, that is sale of furniture given in the receipts and payment. The book value is 30 and the amount what you're getting is 32,000. So did you make a profit or a loss? You ideally made a loss of 2,000. So now the posting of 32,000, okay, this is not the adjustment one. This is ideally shown in your receipts and payment debit side. So you have to give single effect of 32K. How do you do that? You have to split into two and give two effect. First thing, the loss of 2000 has to be recorded. So where, sorry, it's not a loss, it's a profit of 2 lakh or 2000. It has to be recorded. So where do you record it? In the income and expenditure credit side. And then this 30,000 book value has to be minus from the furniture closing balance sheet. So when you minus it, you gave a credit effect. 2K posted in the credit effect. So you understood how we gave 32K's credit effect. The 32K is in the debit side of receipts and payment, and that 32K you have to pass or give a credit effect. So you gave it by giving two credits. Okay, that's make this particular segment a little different or tough. Not everyone understands it. Many students understand there is a profit and post 2K, but they forget that the remaining 30K should also be accounted. Now let's look into this part. If opening furniture for 40K is given in the adjustment, this is something which we discussed over here. Any assets given in the adjustment should be posted in the opening and closing balance sheet. Now, if the closing furniture is 38K given in the adjustment and payment side of furniture shows 5,000, receipts and payment shows 6,000. Now, this is something which we have to understand. Now, what is there? You have an opening furniture of 40K. Receipts and payment shows that in the credit side, it's written buy furniture. That means you purchased another 5,000. So 40 plus 5, 45,000 is what? The number of the amount of the value of furniture you're having, 45,000. Now in the receipts and payment, they are saying that you have sold furniture book value 6,000. So 40 plus 5, that is 45 minus 6. If I do, I understand that the value of my furniture is, what is the value? 39,000. But the sum states closing furniture is 38K. You found out 39K, but they are saying it's 38K. So what does that 1K mean? Why there is a difference? The difference is nothing but your depreciation. So this is also a way of telling you there is a depreciation. I hope this part is clear. I'm been very slow in my teaching so that you understand each and every aspect. Now let's look into the next part, that's the receipt side. They have given 50, 25 and 60,000. Now how do you post these items? These are in the receipt side. You have to give one effect, right? So 2018, if no adjustment is given, it pertains to previous year, post it in the opening balance sheet. 19, income and expenditure. 2020 is always in the closing balance sheet liability side. But if there is an adjustment, you have to accordingly change your posting for 2018. Now let's look into the first adjustment. Adjustment states outstanding subscription for 18 was 60,000. You have to give two effect. Okay, the two effect would be opening and closing balance sheet straight away because it is pertaining to previous year and current year. Don't do the minus thing because you can't minus it. It's a segregated way, right? It's given subscription for 18, 19, 20. So you will not use any formula. Only thing you are going to use is 25,000 plus outstanding for current year. So this 60,000 which is of previous year, you got to write in the opening and closing balance sheet. Now they are saying it was 60,000. Now in the receipts and payment, you understood you got 50. So what is the outstanding for 18 now? 10,000. So in the first case, first adjustment, this 50,000 you will minus it from the closing balance sheet. So if you minus it from closing balance sheet, which effect are you giving? You're giving a credit effect. That's what you have to give, right? This 50, 25, 60, where do you see? Receipt side, debit side. So 50,000 has to be given a credit effect. So if there was no adjustment, I would have written it in the opening balance sheet. But if there is an adjustment, I have to post it accordingly. So I will minus it from 60. If adjustment states that still outstanding 18 is 40,000, still, that means even now the outstanding is 40,000. The 40,000 I will post it in the opening and closing balance sheet. And then I will decide what to do with this 50. This 50 I will be adding to the 40,000 in the opening balance sheet. So if I'm posting it in the opening balance sheet, I hope you understood what will happen. I will be crediting it. That is what is needed. Now students always get confused. That's why I have written this word was and still in red color. Let's look into the word still outstanding. The still outstanding means I have just taken the word so. So still and outstanding, I have used the word so. So means so still and opening I have used. Okay. So what does that mean? Whenever you come across the word still outstanding, you should know that this amount of 50,000 should be put in the opening balance sheet. So the word so will help you to recollect. You will not have any confusion. Last part is the case of outstanding for the year March 19 is given 12,000 and outstanding for the year 18 is still 2,000. Now this happens usually. This is a very common adjustment. It means outstanding for 19 is 10,000. This is similar to the subscription thing which we studied today. In March 19, they are saying outstanding is 12. Also, they gave an information March 18, 2000 is still pending. Still pending means in that 12,000 you will find 2,000 of 18. So if you have to add outstanding of 19 in this particular sum on 25,000, you will be adding only and only 10,000. I hope all the adjustments are clear. We will be doing two sums related to this chapter in the next video. Please go through this video several times till your concepts are clear. I hope this video helps you to understand this chapter very well. Thank you. Dear students, let's look into the first sum, what we are trying to do today. We will try to do a comprehensive sum. Now, as we know, we have to scrutinize the receipts and payment side, and then we have to post it in the income and balance sheet, income and expenditure, and balance sheet, depending whether it is revenue or capital nature. So let us also have a look into the additional information. They have given about subscription. They have given about the value of sports material in the beginning, in the end, and they have given us the depreciation to be provided. All right. So now, as I scrutinize the adjustment, now I will quickly look into the debit side. The subscription part is something which we can do always in the end. Donation for billiard table, because it is for billiard table, it becomes specific. That means it is capital nature. So the donation would be written in the closing balance sheet as 90,000. Entrance fees, revenue nature, I have to give credit effect. If you notice, I am putting everything in the credit side itself. Okay. So I have given 100, sale of old furniture, 450. So my debit side is almost done, I can say. Payments, now payment side, salaries, I have to pay 31,500. Postage, I have to pay 1250. Rent, I have to pay 9,000. So let me populate everything and I will show it to you. So I have done the posting. Just want to tell you about the opening and closing cash balance. The opening cash balance 32,500 should be given credit effect. Being in the opening, I will post it in the opening balance sheet. I will write the figure as 32,500. That's the cash. And the closing cash balance, it's in the credit side. So you have to give a debit effect. So I'm putting it in the balance sheet, closing balance sheet. As I told you in the earlier, opening and closing balance sheet is your mirror image. So if you have something you're posting in the asset side, it gives a credit effect. Okay. So this part completes our posting almost, I can say, not completely, almost. Now let's look into the subscription. What is the subscription given? 60,000. Now this being a segregated way, I will be using the figure 60,000. The figure 1800 pertains to next year, so it is a liability. So subscription advance, I will write it in the liability side. Again, I'm just sticking to my same rule of debit and credit. The rule states that anything in the debit side should be given a credit effect. So 60,000 when I posted here, I gave a credit effect. 1800 when I posted in the liability, I gave a credit effect. Now the question is about this 1617. For that, we will look into the sum. They are saying subscription outstanding on end of March 18 is 16,200 and 1,200 is still outstanding for 1718, is still outstanding. The word so comes into picture. So this 1,200, first of all, I will write it together. I will write this, I just write it over here. Subscription of previous year as what amount is it? 1,200. So I'm giving two effect. One effect is here and one effect is in the opening balance sheet, 1,200. Okay. Now the next thing is, what is the subscription for the current year? 18. Is it 16,200? No, it's not 16,200 because this 1,200 is included in 16,200. So outstanding for 18 is actually 15,000. This is very important. We have learned that in the previous video. So this is how we have to understand. Now, because the word so has come, still outstanding, no? So that is opening. So this 1,500 would be posted where? In the opening balance sheet. So you will be adding outstanding so that is 1,500. All right, so this is where the keyword so comes into picture. So the crucial part of subscription has been done. Now let's look into the value of sports material. If you see the other slide where I told you goods consumed, so that is what it is. The opening balance is 3,000 and 4,500. So opening balance in the opening balance sheet. So I will write here sports material opening 3,000. What is the second effect? I told you it has to be added to the income and expenditure. I asked you to remember the trading account, opening stock plus purchases. So I'm going to write here plus opening, which is given 3,000. In the payment side, they have given sport material 11,500. It means you have purchased. So I have added 11 and this, okay. And then there is a closing. Where do you write the closing? In the closing balance sheet, right? Sports material, I will write the figure as 4,500. And after that, that figure has to be minus here. So that is what your closing sports material is. So that completes almost or 80-90% of the sum. The last part is depreciation to the furniture. What is the furniture amount? 20,000. But what is the amount of depreciation you are going to do? Be very sure about that. It's they are given 10%. So don't be under the impression that it's 2,000 because you purchased it on 1st of October. So the depreciation is only 1,000. Okay. So the value of furniture would be 19, and this value of 1,000 has to be given a second effect. The depreciation has to be given second effect. Now I can say my sum is complete. I will find which side is bigger for me, the debit or credit, get the surplus and deficiency. That's one part of it. I will also close my opening balance sheet to get the capital in the business, capital fund in the business. So the capital fund has to be added to the has to be transferred to the closing balance sheet. You should be adding the surplus, and then your sum should tally. So let's do the calculation quickly. Now what I did is I just totaled both the side. Okay, you're supposed to write the total of the bigger side. Okay, so I should be writing 76,550 both the sides. Just for your understanding, I just wrote the total here. Okay, so when I total, I got this figure. It means that we have a surplus, and the surplus amount is 6,700. Okay, I hope this part is clear. Now what you do, you transfer the surplus over here to the closing capital, even the closing balance sheet. What I did is I did the total. I understood that the total is 38,200. That's what the balance is. That balance I transfer it over here. Okay, so this is how you do it. So in this sum, what are the things you transfer to closing balance sheet? The opening balance sheet, capital fund, and the surplus. When you do, you get your answer. Now some important one more thing which we missed out giving second effect was for this outstanding subscription 15,000. You gave one effect here, and second effect should be over here. Okay, so altogether this is the two figures, 1,200 plus 1,500, 16,000. So once you do that, you get your sum tallied. I hope this sum is very much clear to all of you. Very important sum. We have done a comprehensive sum in less than 10 minutes. Let us quickly look into one more sum. The sum is already been solved. I will explain you. In this sum, what has happened is they have given you the opening balance sheet and receipts and payment. You will not find too many sums like this. And last year in the board exam, that was the first time when this chapter was introduced, and they put a similar sum like this, and students got puzzled. Okay, so you should not get panicked. You should always stick to the basic rules, and you will definitely get the answer. Now what are the basic rules? If you remember, I told you anything in the liability should be posted in the credit side, asset in the debit side. But when it comes to receipts and payment, we have a totally opposite method. Anything in the debit should be given a credit effect. All right. So once we understand this basic concept, we will be very much sure how to do it. Let's say the first item, capital fund. Where do you post it? In the closing balance sheet, I have written as capital fund 2 lakh. Same thing with tournament fund. Salary subscription in advance. If last year I got an advance, that should be pertaining for current year. So 6,000 I added up over year. Okay, so I have given a credit effect if you notice. Salaries unpaid 11,000 I have. Now this is your outstanding of last year. So what you do anything with last year, you got to minus it. So I have minus it over here. This is how you do the posting for the liability side. Same with asset side. Sports equipment is an asset. Simply put it in the balance sheet asset side. Same with grounds, billiard tables. Subscription outstanding. That is previous year subscription outstanding. What we do, anything to do with previous year, we got to minus. So this 8,000 I will minus. Cash and cash balance is 39,000. This has already been posted in the receipts and payment. So this is one item which you don't have to post anywhere. Apart from that, each and every item I have posted it. Receipts and payment, opening balance 39. Again, same thing is already found in the opening balance sheet. So you just have to ignore. Subscription is 181. This is your lump sum method. Just post it 181. Then comes your sale of old material. All those things are your revenue expenditure, right? Income, right? Entrance fees, life membership 50,000, capital. So I have posted it in the balance sheet. Donation for tournament. For tournament. Now you had a tournament fund here. So you have to just add up this 20,000. So I have done that also. Let's look into this one, which I didn't tell you. I kept it in the last. Sale of sports equipment 6,000. What is the book value? 10. So 10,000 something you're selling for 4, 6,000. So 4 is your loss. So you have to record the loss. So I have recorded the loss here. But please understand, you have to record 6,000, not 4,000, right? So I told you in the adjustment also, when you get this kind of things, how you do it. First, you record the 4,000 loss, and then this 10,000 you should be subtracting from the balance sheet. So you had the opening, you had a purchase here somewhere. We'll look into that. Minus the book value to be minused. So minus 10 and 4. That is how you give the 6,000 effect. Very important adjustment. Students don't understand it and go wrong. So they understand the loss part, but they forget this 10,000 part. All right. So every figure over here should be given one effect. That is what we are doing. For this 6,000, you are not giving one effect of 6,000. You're separately giving plus 10 and minus 4. That means you're giving an effect of 6,000. All right. So this is how you do. Wages, salaries, upkeep of ground, stationery, audit fee, all these things are your revenue expenditure. So you will see that in the debit side of income and expenditure. Expense on tournament, since you have a fund, you have to minus 65,000 over year. Sports equipment, this is the one which you have purchased. It's an asset. So I posted it in the asset side. I added up 20K, and then comes your 5% investment 40. I posted it in the 40,000 over year. Now there is a hidden entry as well. 5% investment means you have to get 5% interest, right? For how many months? 6 months. So I have written 1,000 here and 1,000 I have posted here. Then the last item is your cash and cash balance that has to be posted in the balance sheet. Let's look into the adjustment. Adjustment, as you very well know, we have to give two effect. Subscription still to be received, that is outstanding for the current year. You add up to the subscription 5,500. Second effect is in the balance sheet. Subscription already received for next year 4,000. You minus it over here. Okay, when you minus, you're giving a debit effect. So what is the next effect left? Credit, right? So something you receive in advance is your liability. So you have to post it over here as a liability. If you see, I have done it over here. And then salary still unpaid outstanding for current year, you got to add, show it in the liability. Sports equipment now valued 45,000. Okay, so this also calls for an important adjustment. So 50 plus 20 is 70. You understand, 50 is the opening, 20 is the purchase, minus 10. So when you do 50 plus 20 minus 10, what is that? 80,000, right? 50, 70, 60,000. And now they are saying the value of equipment is 45. So what is the difference? The difference is nothing but your depreciation. So how do you write it? You should be writing over here the figure of 50, 60,000. You can write it over here 60, and depreciation as minus 15,000. Depreciation is something which we have to find out over here. It's a hidden one, right? So this 15,000 has to be written over here as well as depreciation for sports material. This is important. First thing, you have to understand how you got 60,000. The opening was 50K. You purchased, look in the payment side, you purchased 20K. Then you sold, what did you sell? 10K. So this is what I understand, that ideally this is the closing of sports equipment, but the sum states the sports equipment is 45, which gives me an idea that this is nothing but my depreciation. After that, the last part is depreciate your billiard table by 10%. That's a straightforward. Billiard table 60 minus 6, and I post it over here. So this was the sum which had come in the board exam for 6 marks. Okay. So if you understand the concept as I told you earlier, there will be no problem and you guys can do it really easily and get full marks. With this, I end this chapter. I hope these two sums which we solved today is sufficient enough for you to get through with this chapter. Thank you.